Hello, world. Hello, everybody out there that's joining us for this live session. Very excited to get into this discussion with Erp Lawyers and Jose, Martín, Azofeifa, who I'll bring in a moment into the studio. You know, that video is always pretty moving, and it's been a while since we've had, I guess, a Relocate live session and interview. But that doesn't mean that mobility is sleeping or the world of migration is sleeping or standing still. There's actually been a lot happening in this space, particularly the intersection of mobility with remote work and the explosion that's happening around the world. And we're certainly going to dive into that today with one of the most recent announcements for the digital nomad visa and remote worker visa for Costa Rica, which is a hotspot destination in Central America for a variety of reasons, even before they made this announcement. So without further ado, glad to bring in Jose, and anybody who is out there who has questions, feel free to ask them. We'll get them live and we'll put them up here so everyone can see, and we'll have them addressed. So, okay, great. Jose, can you see and hear? I think we're good. Mic is good. Check, check. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today.
No, thanks to you, David, and hello to everyone. It is really a great pleasure to be here today. Well, as introduced by David, my name is Jose Martín Azofeifa, and I'm an associate at Erp Lawyers.
Great. Thank you, Jose. And where are you guys based? Where are you calling from today?
Okay, well, we're based in San Jose, Central Valley, Costa Rica. We also have a branch in Jaco at the heart of our Central Pacific coast.
So Jaco is, from what I recall, in my backpacking days, in my 20s, and actually Costa Rica was the first destination that I ever went to, even before, digital nomads were digital nomads. And I remember Jaco being like a surf spot. Is it still kind of like, it's like a bit of a surfer's paradise?
Yeah, sure. And we have one of the greatest champions in the surfing world from Jaco, Cali Muñoz, and other great surfers and a great generation of surfers. It's a surf town. It has developed just like that for the years. And as you said, it's you recall very well. It's a hot spot for surf.
Yeah, right on. And I think that what I found most fascinating, and I'm sure it's changed. I have been back several times. It's very diverse. Costa Rica is not a large country, right, in terms of landmass, but it's extremely diverse. So, for example, right now we're talking about the Pacific coast. Then you have, kind of the other more Caribbean vibe, I would say, that's on the other coast.
Yeah, well, we're a very small country. It's 51,100 square kilometers of landed territory. We have much more sea territory, but yeah, our land surface it's small. We are bordered in the north by Nicaragua, in the south by Panama, and west the Pacific Ocean, and east the Caribbean Sea. So we are basically a bridge between North and Central America, which makes Costa Rica and the region really very rich, very diverse.
Right. And you obviously, diversity you just mentioned in terms of geography and maybe biodiversity as well. I mean, you obviously have the rainforest, you have so much beauty. I guess also how have you seen it evolve over the years? A statistic just popped up here. Maybe it's even changed. I don't know since then. But how have you seen it evolve in terms of like an international scene?
Well, Costa Rica, we depend on the tourism. It's been like that for many years. So we are used to receiving people from all around the world. Also, yeah, we have a great deal of immigrant population coming from, for example, Nicaragua, Colombia, and many other countries in the area, which during all the course of the years have helped and has bring lots of richness and different culture mix up that we have. How can I say that, gathered as our own. So yeah, we are made of a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Right. Well, I mean that adds to, I guess, the evolution of the country, and you're in the capital city.
Correct.
Right? So I mean, how's infrastructure generally, right? Because a lot of people who think about relocating and moving, who are not just traveling, right? One of the main, I guess, considerations is, okay, how easily can I move around? How do I move around the country? How is infrastructure in terms of transportation as well as internet connectivity, right?
Within the city, I would not say that mobility it's the greatest, but we do have a strong public bus service all over the Central Valley. Surely lots of cars every day. The use of bicycles and the respect for the cyclist has been growing. So in terms of mobility, I believe that right now we are facing challenges, but the mentality is definitely changing. Right now, there's a huge discussion for the construction of an electric train for the Central Valley, which will bring lots of benefits. And I said, more and more each day, people in general and our authorities are worried about resolving the mobility issues in downtown or in the Central Valley. Within the coast and the rest of the country, we wouldn't find lots of problems because the main percentage of the population lives here in San Jose. So moving around in rural areas, it's pretty straightforward. It's easy, paved roads everywhere. Of course, if you want a little bit of adventure, you'll also be able to find appropriate roads for that. But I believe that in terms of infrastructure, of road infrastructure, we're fine. There's lots to do, but they're working on it. Airports, great. Juan Santa Maria and Liberia Airport, they are growing every single day, winning awards, having lots of people. And in terms of working infrastructure, right now, I will say, let me tell you, I have a optic fiber connection, which you can find all over.
Better than me,
the Central Valley. I'm connected to what is 200 megas, something like that. And you also able to find it in the rest of the countries every day, more and more. Of course, it's developing, but you will find internet everywhere, electricity, basic services all over the country.
Yeah, and these are obviously important boxes to check, right? Particularly for remote workers, if we're going to focus on that. And even before we dive into the remote work visa and the digital nomad visa that's been enacted in Costa Rica, it's not like Costa Rica was just put on the map either, right? I mean, Costa Rica has kind of been a destination, I'd say, in the Americas for a lot of the Americas, right? And I think the stability and infrastructure, stability and rule of law, for a lot of reasons you just mentioned, kind of reflect that as well. So the fact that the airports can accommodate is probably a very good thing, because I'd imagine right now Costa Rica is going to see a bit more of a volume of inflow as a result of this. And maybe you're already seeing that, Jose. You can comment. You're on the ground.
Yeah, well, according to our tourism ministry, we are expected to reach next year the same levels of tourism as pre-pandemic numbers, which is great, because originally we thought that this was gonna take, or at least we will have to wait until 2024 to start seeing those figures coming up. Fortunately, things have been going well, and every single day there are more and more tourists coming to the country with the purpose of staying for a short term or definitely moving to the country, which is of course great as well.
Yeah, I think once you visit, it kind of like that you know, the pura vida, the culture, everything. You know, it welcomes you. It welcomes you, and I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it's a
And,
relief,
yeah, sure,
right?
and it has been two very hard years. Once the
Mm,
borders were closed, no one coming in, and I said at the beginning, we depend enormously on tourism, especially on the coast, Guanacaste, Punta
sure.
Arenas, Limon. People depending entirely on tourism, and all of a sudden everything stops. And so yeah, it was hard, but I
Mm,
believe that as part of our character, we took that opportunity to see what can we do at this point to get better, because this is going to stop one day, and when this time comes, we need to be ready
right,
and better than before. So
right.
I believe that we took these couple of years to get better, and to make everyone coming to Costa Rica have a increased a better experience than before.
That's hard. It's hard to imagine because you know that experience always stays with you, you know. But I'm sure that it's evolving, and you know, I think we can dive into it. One, you know, I'd love to get your thoughts on the current framework, right, for migration. Obviously, there's multiple ways for an individual to who wants to live and work in Costa Rica to come there. But I think the hot topic for today, we can totally dive into is the digital nomad visa. And I guess walk us through, I guess, what's happened so far, right? Because there's Costa Rica's got a solid rule of law. It's not like a couple other countries, you know, that I won't name that's just kind of thrown out, hey, we got a digital nomad visa. But now somebody is like, all right, well, where do I apply? Is there a link? You know, what are the requirements? So it's not like a half-baked idea from overnight. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about, you know, what's the status of it now? Can somebody apply?
Yeah, sure. Okay, well, just as a background, this law, the law was originally published basically at the end of the term of our last government. So from the time it was published to the time they were leaving, it was a very short period to work on the bylaws of this law. So basically, we have a law that was published in August last year, and it is just 3 or 4 weeks ago that the bylaws were also published, and now the law effective. This political situation caused a little bit of delays. The
Mm,
government
mm,
was thinking more on leaving everything organized for the next one to come, rather than working on let's say this small stuff, which was really important. But fortunately for the coming government, they understood the importance of having these bylaws published as soon as possible, because we were losing
mm.
a huge opportunity, which is bringing digital nomads to Costa Rica.
Okay.
And so they put their focus and interest in this, and they deliver.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
And so what's walk us through some of the basic requirements. Like, you know, why would I apply for a digital nomad visa versus like a tourist visa?
sure. A tourist visa, you're allowed to stay in the country for a maximum of 90 days. There are other terms depending on nationalities. They are separated by group, but let's
Okay.
say that the largest portion of the population nationalities, they are established in group A, which are allowed to be here in Costa Rica for 90 straight days.
Right.
After that period of time, you cannot request an extension. You have to leave and re-enter the country to renew it. As of today, there are thousands of foreigners coming and going, making what we call border runs, to be able to overstay in the country, because they do want to stay for a long period, but they don't want to apply for a residency, different categories, which can have lots of paperwork, and they take a long time to get resolved. This digital nomad visa, let's say that when they were preparing the bylaws, they study all the problems that are being caused by the requirements from the other categories, and they say, okay, we cannot make that same mistake, because it makes no sense to have a law which will bring lots of benefits to the country, but which requirements will basically made it impossible or non-attractive for anyone to see. So they really work hard and put a lot of effort creating a bylaws and establishing a series of requirements which are very straightforward, and that they don't require also lots of formalities.
Okay, that's great. So what are some of like the big picture requirements, right? Maybe.
Perfect.
Well, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
This process, we have two ways to file for it. One is a physical application. You go to migration offices and file your petition. The other is through a digital platform called Trámite Ya. And so we have two options, digital or physical. Right now, I have to mention that the digital platform has not been made available for this option. You can apply for other categories, but according to what migration authorities mentioned, they're working on finalizing the details on the digital system. But right now, you can apply physically. So what you need to do, first step, the complete affiliation form. This is a process. It's done entirely in a digital way through this website, Trámite Ya. It's available, and you can do it right away if you want.
Okay.
This process will be reviewed by migration, and within 24 to 48 hours maximum, they will approve it. Once this is approved,
okay,
you can go and apply for the visa. For that, you will need just a letter of request, $100 deposit for government fees. This is per applicant. So if you're coming with your family, it's $100 per member. You will have to file a copy of your passport's first page, the one that comes with all the information. If you are filing from Costa Rica, you will also have to attach the page of the passport where the entry stamp is. If you are applying from abroad, this stamp will be requested once you come to the country to pick up your card. The most important requirement is the balance of account for the last 12 months, showing a monthly income for a minimum of $3,000 and $4,000 if you're traveling with family members. These bank statements do not need to be legalized or apostilled in any way. You just go to the bank and ask for them, or print them out from your digital banking web if it's possible.
And so what qualifies as proof of, because I imagine this is probably one of the more, this threshold is depending on where you're coming from, this is probably the hardest to meet if there's, a more difficult aspect of a digital nomad visa. Typically, globally, it's a financial requirement.
Yeah.
So what qualifies as, income? Can it also be, if you, I don't know, if you have cryptocurrency, right? Or if you have earnings from, stock, or is it purely like salary? freelance contracts?
The law, let's say that the law is general, and there are ways to put this. Okay, what is income? Okay, how can we the interpretation of income? So at this point, they're talking the balance of account is basically talking about a currency that arrives to your bank account. But if the source of income comes from different things, such as crypto, for example, the law also establishes the possibility to file, instead of a bank statement, for example, a CPA or a document granted before a notary public, indicating that source of income, and basically stating or certifying that it complies with the minimum or the equivalent to $3,000. The only thing is that when you do it through a CPA or a document from a public notary, by CPA I refer to a certified document from a public accountant, or a public notary. These two documents will have to go to be apostilled and or legalized, depending on your country. That would be the only issue if you're gonna do it that way.
But what happens if like 1 month you have no income and then another month you have like 6,000?
Yeah.
You know,
That at the end, the important thing is that the last average for the last 12 months,
average.
it's going to be the $3,000, because along with the balance, there's an affidavit or a sworn declaration to give, saying that's your income. So
Okay, great.
yes, that's the important, and that's why they request that a 12-month balances, just to make sure that it adds up to that amount.
And you have to show contracts, like if you have an employer,
No.
So it's purely bank statements, maybe an accountant's certified statement. Right?
Article 4 of the law defines the remote service provider as foreigners who provide a paid remote services in a subordinate matter or not. Let's say that you can be employed or not, or so you can be employed or freelancer. Let's say that the important thing is that you have into your account $3,000 coming every month.
Okay, and you can provide, and you can work. So, we can go through a couple other requirements, but you can still work, obviously, as you would. Are there any restrictions on working in Costa Rica once you have the visa?
Yeah, this will not be, you will not be able to work for a Costa Rican company or person. That's not allowed. For that, you will have to request a work permit, which is a totally different thing. But once in Costa Rica, you find out that there's an opportunity and you want to develop your business, you are free to do. As any other foreigner that comes to the country, everyone here is invited to invest.
So hold on a second. So if I'm, I'm a remote worker, and I'm a software engineer, and I'm doing my engineer. My clients are outside of Costa Rica, and then I'm in Jaco, and I meet some guy at a surf shop, and we have an idea for a business. Open up another surf shop. I can do that.
Yeah, of course. You can partner with anyone or do it yourself. That's not a problem, as long as you are, let's say, owner. You're not being employed by this new venture.
Okay, right. Okay, so you're not an employee, a salaried employee. You're an owner or investor.
Exactly.
Okay.
That would be perfectly fine.
And can you provide services? So let's say I'm a software engineer and there's a Costa Rican company that wants to hire me for my services, not as an employee, but like a contractor.
Yeah.
Is that something you can do?
Yeah, of course. If you want to start your business here, you can, as a foreigner, you can do it under your personal name. You can set up a corporation. You can go before tax authorities and record yourself as a contributor, record a corporation, whatever. But you'll be able to conduct your own business. Of course, there will be certain rules to follow depending on what business is that you want to do. But as a foreigner, you're not going to have any limitation. You'll be able to invest and venture yourself.
And you can own property,
Yeah.
invest in property.
Yeah.
What about opening bank accounts and having a bank account?
That's a little bit more tricky if you don't have a Costa Rican residency or status in whatever category. There are national banks. They do open accounts for people holding just a passport, but they are very restricted with the things that you are allowed to do. You can only receive money or send money to accounts within the same bank. It's
Okay.
very restrictive. Once you have a migratory status, you'll be able to fully use and benefit from the banking system.
Okay, right. So if you need to take out like a mortgage or a credit line to that extent, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, and what are some of the other core requirements? We mentioned the financial requirement.
Yeah.
What are the other boxes that you need to check?
Okay, that will be if you are coming with family members. Your For example, if you need you're coming with your wife or your partner, you don't need to be actually married. You have to bring the marriage certificate or a certificate demonstrating the civil union, or how we call it here, the de facto union. And if you are traveling with children or people under 25 years old and unmarried, you will have to bring copies of the birth certificates. So
Right.
that will be basically the requirements. If you're coming from family members, you will have to add the marriage or the civil union certificate and
Okay.
a birth certificate for anyone under 25.
Okay, great. And what about medical care?
Medical care, once this will come once the application is duly recorded. You will not have to register yourself before Social Security, but you will have to have a medical insurance that covers for all the period that you're staying in Costa Rica, for a minimum amount of $50,000, and that this is also this insurance is extensive to your family members if you're traveling with anyone. So the insurance, it is important to tell that it can be an international insurance, or also you can acquire it here in Costa Rica. Insurance companies, they are already working on products to meet these requirements, but they are very easy. Minimum of $50,000 and to cover for the period that you're staying in Costa Rica. So you will not have to register and contribute before Social Security.
Okay, great. That makes sense. I mean, for the adventure seekers and thrillers out there, you may want to probably a smart move anyway if you're going to be taking an RV or something into the jungle.
Yeah, well,
jumping off waterfalls.
In case of an accident or an emergency, even if you're not registered before Social Security, you will not be denied of
Medical care.
medical
That's always
attention.
good.
Yeah, that's here. Our medical care is universal and for everyone, no matter your status.
Oh, that's great, because you know how Americans, and I can say this because I am American, it's like, if I walk into a hospital with a broken arm, it's like I still have to reach into my pocket to get my insurance card, my bones. So, that's probably a relief for
No,
a lot of people.
public health, they will take care of you, and then they will
Yeah,
see how they can recover, but medical attention cannot and will not be denied.
that's good. That's good. Hey, Americans who are making decisions on healthcare, listen up, tune in to what the rest of the world is doing.
Well, and now that you say that, one of our strongest touristic branches, let's say like that, here in Costa Rica is medical tourism. We're having thousands of
Okay, nice.
Americans coming every
Mm.
single year to have medical procedures here in the country, because they are excellent services and for a fraction of what you would pay in the States. And your
That's
insurance from the States covers here in Costa
That's
Rica.
amazing. Wow, that's amazing. That says something. That really
Yeah.
says something. And I guess this kind of ties into like just generally, what is the cost of living like? And it's a difficult question to answer because, if you're coming from one country, the context is very different. But overall, the quality of life and cost of living, maybe you can chat a bit about that.
Yeah, quality of life, I would say it's very good. Here, everything seems to happen slower than in other regions. People move
Mm,
around freely everywhere. We're a secure country. We don't have an army. The money that once was invested in an army is now being invested in education, infrastructure, and healthcare. So in terms of living here, I can only say positive things. Cost of living, it's an issue, but we are seeing that everywhere in the states, for example, the inflation, which has reached
yeah,
record numbers, it affects us
right,
as most of our business and commercial relationships are done with the states. So
right.
cost of living in Costa Rica, I would not say that it's cheap, but it's also accordingly.
Okay. And just to circle back to digital nomad visa for a moment. How, so I got the visa, I'm in Costa Rica. How long can I stay?
You'll be able the visa is granted for periods of 1 year,
Mm,
renewable for the same. Just to renew, very important requirement is that you have to demonstrate. Well, you have to spend in the country at least 180 days to be able
okay.
to renew. You at the time of renewal, you also have to file new bank statements demonstrating that this income has continued
Mm,
to come to your accounts, or however you're gonna prove that, and that's it. The request is also filed through the digital system, and it resolved within
okay.
15 days.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And is there a limit on how many times you can renew?
It is not established in the law nor in the ruling. So we believe as long as you can keep demonstrating that you make this monthly income, you will be able to renew.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. And I guess the other interesting fact that ties into, the requirement. So you have to stay 180 days to be eligible, right, for the renewal for a year. Does that have any tax implications?
No, going a little bit back, the idea of establishing this minimum amount of time is making sure that the digital nomads are spending their money here in Costa Rica, because
Mm,
that's
mm,
basically what at the end what they're looking for is to benefit the economically the communities where they're going to be establishing in. So that's a little bit the idea, making sure that they're spending time in Costa Rica and spending their money here in Costa Rica that it's going to be circling in local communities, and of course in their improving their economies.
yeah.
Um, the other thought was, sorry, I've lost you on that. I
So,
circle back
so, so,
to on that
okay. No,
next.
no, no. This makes total sense. So, like, you have a lot of different reasons, and people ask, well, why are digital nomad visas, exploding, leaving globally? And you just touched upon one of the major policy reasons, which is like, okay, this country just wants to, attract and stimulate, the local economies, and by, having the presence of, somebody who's earning X amount per month, that kind of translates into local spending. But what about tax liability?
Okay.
So now, do I have to pay? Yeah, do I have to pay taxes in Costa Rica as well as my foreign country?
No, beneficiaries from this law will be exempt from paying taxes. Your income will not be considered taxable, nor you're gonna be considered as a tax resident in the country. If you're gonna do your side business, that's a different thing. But from this income, that this amount of money that you are using to demonstrate that you can become a digital nomad, that's not taxable in any way.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you will also be able
Yeah.
to bring your basic personal computer, telecommunications equipment, or any other equipment that you will be required that you require here in Costa Rica to perform your duties.
My surfboard and surfboard wax.
that will apply a charge by
Is that taxable?
That's not an airline thing.
As long as they don't take it away, you know, at customs. As long as it's fine.
That
That's fine.
That will not be a problem. Yeah, but that's also I think that brings lots of attention. That okay, great. I'll be making this income from Costa Rica, and I would not have to pay taxes there. Costa Rica does not require you to file the proof of declaration of or payment of taxes in the country where you are forced to do it. That's not a thing that we are or that the government will be worried about. But they just said it's not taxable. That's it.
Right. So like you said, like the policy pretty much is saying, you know, we just want these individuals to come here. We welcome them, spend locally, boost the economy. So that speaks a lot to why they wouldn't be having this oversight or tax requirements. So that's great. I mean, it's a super unique opportunity, you know, no doubt. And I think that Costa Rica is one of the few and first in the Americas region. And there's a lot of reasons in itself, even without having a digital nomad visa pathway to relocate potentially to Costa Rica. So this has been extremely enlightening. I don't know if anybody out there has any questions. It's always free to ask. Otherwise, you can reach out to Jose and his team at ERP. You can obviously find them through relocate.world, contact them directly. But you would be in good hands. You obviously have some insight and experience on these matters, Jose. So this has been great. I don't know if you want to wrap it up. Any closing thoughts?
No, well, yeah, just to finalize your last idea about the objective or the goal of the government. And you're right. Once you come to Costa Rica, you see how different things are in the Central Valley and in the rural areas. So if you want to live here in a mountain, you can. If you want to live in a jungle next to the sea, you can. If you want to live in Guanacaste, very dry zone, you're able to do it. So you can choose many different options, and I am sure that Costa Rica will find a perfect spot for that. And in that particular place, the government has assured that there's going to be the necessary infrastructure to make things happen, and they're welcoming this opportunity because they understand that digital nomads they will only bring benefits to the local communities where they are where they choose to establish. So on that regarding, they have that very clear. Once again, everyone is invited to come to Costa Rica. We love tourists. Most of our economy depends on that. People is very well prepared to receive foreigners. A large portion of the population speaks English. More and more, we have more and more French speakers as well, and so you will find here in Costa Ricans someone to trust, and that also will also take care of you. So
I believe it.
Well,
I believe it, and I know through experience. I still remember, you know, I was in Corcovado in
oof.
the south area, yeah, and that's amazing because there's space there. You know, I mean, if you can get Wi-Fi in the jungle there, I'd be pretty impressed. You know, but it's just dense. It's beautiful, and you know, there were dolphins swimming alongside the boat, and then the guy, the captain, was basically like, "Yeah, look at that home. Oh, that's Mel Gibson's home." You
Ah,
know, I don't know if he still lives there. I don't know
well,
if he's
he
still
has
there.
a huge property, but in the North Pacific,
Okay.
I'm forgetting the name, next to
So,
Nosara. But yeah, that's right. And talking
so maybe
about
he moved.
Corcovado now, if you go
Yeah.
to Karate, to the southest part of the park, there's internet. If you go to
Oh no.
Valladraque, that's so. If you want to go
Amazing.
and work from there, you'll be able to do it. So
That's the
that's great.
true. That's the true digital nomad scene. That's it right there. It doesn't get cooler than that.
Oh,
So
and maybe go
yeah,
to Dominical. You'll be working during the week. You'll find yoga retreats every single weekend. So there's
amazing.
a lot, and I believe that we have everything for every need. So it's just a matter of asking and looking around. But Costa Rica will provide what you are looking for.
And you know what? I imagine that you'll see a big change in the next 5 years, Jose. Also in terms of European inflow. So I think you'll start seeing a lot of Europeans who are kind of putting this on the map, probably even from the Far East, you know, in ways that were impossible before. So
Yeah.
yeah, very exciting. Interested to see how this evolves. It's only the beginning. So anybody out there, thank you for tuning in, and those who tune in the future, feel free to reach out to ERP Lawyers and Jose and his team. They got you covered. It's been great chatting with you, and glad to see you, Jose. We'll
Yeah,
do
it's
this again soon.
sure. It's been our pleasure, and on behalf of ERP Lawyers, yeah, thank you for joining today, and thank you, David, and your great
Absolutely.
team for from Relocate for
Our
making this
pleasure.
happen.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. We'll do it again soon.
Sure.
Great. Take care.
Bye bye.